Okay, so now it's time to move on to the electron configuration part. As to how do we put those electrons into the atom and how are they arranged in there? There's a very specific way that the electrons go in. And really what ends up happening is they go into areas that require the least amount of energy first. Right? And there's a sequence in which they are going to go in. So according to these notes, the ones that you're going to have this time, this is the notes that you have. Bohr's model. These notes are a generalized idea. It is going to be really, really important that you follow this video because this video is going to show you how to put these things together. All right, so you're going to want to ultimately write down the things that I'm going to write on the board behind me as to how these electrons go in, because that's going to help you do the work that we're going to do for the next couple days in here. So in doing this atom, the first thing is we've got a nucleus. So there's my center part of the nucleus, or the atom. In that nucleus, there are protons and there are neutrons. And those things both have mass, which we talked about in the last video. This guy's got 1 AMU for each one. This guy's also got 1 AMU for each one. So we consider that nucleus to be a very dense part of the atom. Ooh, dense, that's density. If you remember in the last chapter, we talked about density. Density is grams divided by volume, mass divided by volume. So there's a lot of mass and a small amount of volume. So that's why we consider the nucleus to be very, very dense. Right? Now, when we draw these things, we're always going to put the number of protons inside there. So however many protons there are, you put that number for protons, and then how many neutrons there are, you put that there. Then after that, then we're going to have the electrons. As I kind of showed you in the last video, the electrons happen to be in these little clouds, these rings around the outside. So we're going to have, this will be my first one. That'll be my first ring, and that's where the electrons are going to go. Then we're going to have the second ring, and then we're going to have the third ring, and then there's the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. Now I'm going to tell you that there are only 7 rings. There are only 7 what we actually consider to be clouds, all right, or energy levels is going to be the new term that we're going to talk about. If you ever go beyond 7, then you made a mistake, because none of the elements on the periodic table fill beyond the 7th ring, all right? So now what we have to do is now we got to figure out, well, how many electrons do each one of these rings actually, or energy levels, hold? So the very first one holds 2 electrons. That's the maximum amount of electrons it will hold, is 2 electrons. We go to the second one, the second ring, the maximum amount it will hold is 8 electrons. That's the most it'll hold. The third ring will hold 18 electrons is its maximum. And I always like to joke about and say that actually it seems like there's a very clear trend that's occurring when we go 6, 2, 8, 18. No, there ain't no trend that occurs here, it seems like. But I will tell you later on as we go into this in a little bit, a couple minutes in this video, you're going to see there is a trend that occurs that's actually reoccurring and makes this really actually pretty easy to have to do. That's what I hope to have you find. So we went 2, 8, 18. The fourth ring has 32 electrons. Right? They keep increasing by something. Then we get to ring number 5, seems like it should go up now. Sorry, it's 32 electrons. Okay. Then we get to ring number 6. Well, it's actually 32 electrons-ish. Actually, it's a little less than that. And the very last one, number 7, most it'll get 32 electrons. So when we get to that 32, that's the highest it's going to go at this point in regards to all of the elements that are on the periodic table. We can't get any bigger. Okay. So now what we're going to do is now we're going to take these number of electrons and we're going to put them into these rings and see how they go. In order to do this, what I like to do is I like to think of the idea of Snapchat. Right, if you do Snapchat, isn't it that you really like basically take a little snap of what's happening going on? So you may be I don't know, out doing something, playing, having fun with your friends. You don't videotape the entire time that you're with your friends. No, you only take a snap of what's going on, and that's what you send to all your other friends to show them, hey, this is what we're doing. So we're going to do the same idea with these electrons. These electrons are cruising around out here in these clouds, these energy levels. But we're going to take a Snapchat of them and go, okay, here's a little picture of what they look like in there. So we're going to go for number 1 right here. We're going to put a little Snapchat box. Okay? And that's going to be my first energy. That's my box for the first energy level, the first ring. And then we'll go to the second ring. So we're going to make a box again. The only thing is in this one, we're going to put 2 boxes for the second energy level. So I have 2 boxes for that one. Then we go to the third energy level. In the third energy level, we're going to make 3 boxes. All right, so there's my third level. And guess what it's going to be for the fourth energy level? 4 boxes. All right. Now I'm going to back up for 1 second. I'm going to erase this. I'm going to show you a fast way to draw these. All right, so I'm going to erase this. And what I do is I start at the very front and draw a line all the way out. Then I come down and draw a line all the way out. Then I go to the second one and I come down and go over. Then I go to the third line, go down, go over. Then I go to the fourth line, come down and go over. And at this point, now it's just fill in the lines like this. So we end up with this is ring number 1, this is ring number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, and number 7. Again, remember 7, that's the maximum we're going to go to. We're not going to go any further than that. Right? We're never going to end up with more electrons than 7 with the elements around the periodic table. Okay? So these little boxes, these are going to be the places where we're going to put electrons into this atom. Now, the other thing which I like to do is I like to assume that we have a little bucket over here. So here's my bucket, and in that bucket, I have electrons. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take electrons out of this, and I'm going to drop them in there kind of like Plinko. When I drop in, they're going to go, and they're going to go to the lowest energy level spot, the spot that requires the least amount of energy in order to fill it. All right. So when I drop an electron in there, right now with nothing there, it goes, and it goes to this spot right here. It's going to put 1 electron in there. And then if I take another electron, drop it, it'll go to this spot, and we will fill that spot with 2 electrons. And now going back up to this, that spot has its maximum amount of electrons. It has 2 electrons. I know as you're going through this right now, you may be thinking, oh my gosh, Mr. Pape, I can't do this. This is really, really hard. Just follow along. What you're going to find is as I go through this, you might go, this is weird. We're going to do a couple more of these together. I always find, and I have always found that people, by the time we get to about the second actual example, people are like, oh, I see how this works. And it starts all of a sudden, the light bulb comes on, and most every single person that I've ever had goes, this is really, really easy. All right, so bear with me and follow along, and you'll find it's not as hard as it seems. All right. So we got this one is filled now. That's got it all the way up to its most. So now I'd take another electron, drop it in. Where is it going to go? Goes to this box. Drop in another electron, goes to this ring right here. Drop another electron, goes into this ring right here. So ultimately, this ring right here is going to take 8 electrons. Seems like then, well, let's divide it in half. 4 and 4? No, that's not the way it goes. It actually goes and it puts 2 in here first. Now, if I got 2 in that box, I can put 8. Then the next spot I'm going to do is I'm going to drop down to here, and it will hold up to 6. So we're going to put 6 in that spot. Right? Now, energy level number 2 is full. He's got a total of 8 in there. So now I'm going to go and drop another electron, take another electron, drop it in there. And actually now it goes up here, and we drop off 2. So I'm going to drop off 2 in that spot. Are you seeing a pattern that's starting to develop already? All these boxes across the top are going to have 2s in them. Ultimately, don't do it all at one time. They have to be filled in a specific order. Right? So I drop off 2 in that spot. So now I take another electron, drop it. Where does it go? Well, it actually falls down here, and we fill that spot all the way up to 6. Wait, Mr. Dave, that's supposed to hold 18. I know, but we can't go any more than 8 in that energy level right now. We can come back and fill it later, but there's a rule called the octet rule. It says that this outermost ring, the ring that's farthest from the nucleus, can never, ever have more than 8 electrons at any time. Right? So at this point, because it's got 8, what we're going to do is we're going to go this direction, and we're going to drop off 2 in this spot. Now that I've done that, now ring number 4 is my outermost ring. Okay? Now I'm able to come back and put some more in ring number 3. Okay? Now the other way which I like to describe this is it's kind of like a typewriter. And if you've ever used a typewriter, and I know you might have to ask your parents about this, and go, Mom, Dad, how do I use a typewriter? Well, when you type, you're typing on, and it gets to the end, it goes ding. And then what you have to do is take the lever and go, and slide it across. When you slide it across, it goes all the way across, but it moves piece of paper up one. And then you start typing all the way like ding, and you slide it across and it moves the paper up one again. And it keeps moving up each time you go. Well, this thing is kind of like a typewriter. The only thing is it doesn't fill straight across. It fills at an angle going this way, right? And the ding is whenever you get to a spot where you put 2. When you get to one of these spots up here at the top where the 2 is, that's the ding, and then it drops back down. So we first put in 2. Then the next thing we did, we put in 2. And then I dropped down here and did 6. This is when the typewriter thing begins. That's why I drew the arrow. So it goes up here, we drop off 2. Ding! So I drop down and I jump backwards like I'm playing checkers. And there's no box here, so this is my lowest box. So I'm going to put 6 in there. Then I start typing out, come up here, drop off 2. Ding! So now I drop down, and I'm going to play checkers, and I can jump back to here. Well, this spot, ultimately this row has 8. It can hold 18. So that means I'm going to put 10 in this spot. So I put 10 in there. Now my typewriter start typing out. So I go to this box. How many will this hold? Notice the trend. We're going to put 6 in that spot. And that one's now full. So now we go out here and we go up to this one and I drop off how many? 2. So I put 2 in that spot. Ding. That's the end of the row. Slide it back. So you jump down. Jump down and jump backwards. There's no box here. So this is my lowest box. So now I know this spot's supposed to hold 32, but I can't put all the rest of the 32 in there yet. What I'm going to put is, oh, look at there. This is the number that's occurring here. So we're going to put 10 in there. So I put up to 10. Now I start my typewriter again. Come back out. Go to this spot. Drop off how many? 6. Then I go to this one. Drop off 2. Ding. That's the end. Jump down, and I jump backwards all the way to here. Oh, I wonder, how much does this one hold? Well, what you could do is you could add all these guys up, subtract it from 32, but I'm going to show you something. This is where the trend starts to occur, right? Is that 2 plus what makes 6? 4. So 2 plus 4 makes 6. 6 plus 4 makes 10. Oh, look at that. Each time we come down in a row, we add 4 electrons. So 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 plus 4 is 10. So 10 plus 4 means this spot will hold 14. Okay. So we got this little trend that's occurring where we're increasing by 4 as we go down in these rows. So now my typewriter begins again. I come up this way, put how many in there? 10. Come up to here, drop off how many? 6. Go up to here, drop off 2. So it's 14, 10, 6, 2. Bing, that's the end. Jump down, go here, then we jump backwards to there. This spot will hold how many? 14. Then my typewriter, go to here, drop off 10. Go to here, drop off 6, and the reality is that is the biggest element on the periodic table. If you were to add all those numbers up, we just did this guy right here, the white one down here, element 118. That's the biggest element that's on the periodic table. Okay, so you really should never go beyond energy level number 7, the ring number 7. That's the highest we're going to go. Okay, again, because that's the maximum amount. Now, an interesting piece to this is that you just learned something that was developed by a scientist darn it, hold on. It was developed by a scientist many years ago. He figured out the trend for this. So, and that's what we're going to do in part number 2 in this. I'm going to show you the trend, and we're going to do a couple more of these. So go on to number 2, and we'll see what that is. See you in a minute.